Alright guys, so we're back. Me and David's right here.
Spooky season.
It is time for the spookage.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
We're bringing on our first guest. Why don't you introduce her for us?
So this is Amy. This is my wife. Say hi, Amy.
Hello.
Sort of a spook savant, considering this is going to be our Halloween episode.
Indeed.
Anyway.
This is big milestone moment. First guest. This is also our first attempt at video, maybe. So we'll see how that pans out.
I mean, a little bit worrisome because my whole life I've been told I had a face for radio.
You know, video killed the radio star, David. And
Not fast enough, Billy. Not fast enough.
Oh snap! Okay, so we are doing this Halloween series. We're gonna talk about some cryptids and have a good time. My wife, as David mentioned, is the resident cryptid enthusiast, so she's joining us for these episodes. Thank you very much, sweetie, for sitting down with us.
I like the scoops.
Can confirm.
I've only recently gotten an interest into this kind of thing, so I'll chime in when I think I've got something to say. But our first subject, the one that I've been stuck on the most here lately, is Beast of Bray Road. So,
what's got you stuck on it? What grabbed you?
I mean, ever since the days of Twilight, I've been Team Werewolf anyway. So even though, I know they're not werewolves, dire wolves, or whatever. But
they smelled like dog. That's all I can say.
They're wary creatures.
They're not showy about it, though. I mean, in comparison to their their adversaries, the glittery boys.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, if you got to pick a team, that's just where I'm at.
That's legit.
So fair. That's.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with the Beast of Bray Road, you can be forgiven. It's native to southern Wisconsin. Mm. I say native if cryptids can be considered native.
They can, for sure.
This one does seem to spend most of its time on Bray Road. I think that's why it gets its name.
It can't be everywhere at once.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true. From what I understand, Bray Road is like a small farm road, but I've not been able to. So we live in a rural community. And so I'm not sure if farm road means, like gravel road, or if it's, a road in the middle of a cornfield somewhere that happened to have a name.
Probably at the very least a less traveled road.
Right. That would make sense. There's some really cool sightings from the area, and there's a lot of them that kind of almost overlap with other cryptids in a way.
Right.
But like, have you heard of the Beast of Bray Road? Like,
I've heard of them vaguely, but I haven't actually sat down and looked them up and stuff. And figured out what was fact, what was fiction, what was hearsay, and passed down through the stories.
Right on.
So I just caught onto it through this other podcast I've been listening to called Tales from the Dark.
Been cheating on us, David?
I mean, inspiration comes from somewhere always.
I mean, you right.
Excuse me, but the one, I don't know why it stuck in my craw, other than the fact. So the first sighting was in 1936. By a man, I can't remember his name currently. Don't crucify me. But he worked as a security guard of sorts around a convent. Some say convent, some say a school for troubled children, what have you. But he happened to be out late around midnight doing his rounds. Went around the back of this building, and it seemed to be just there, clawing its way into what I believe they said was an Indian burial ground, like a mound style. And the creature locked eyes with him. He locked eyes with the creature, and neither of them did anything until the beast eventually just slunk away into the woods. So the following night, he saw the creature again and decided to take a closer look because in 1936 you're just born with brass balls, I guess. And
well, I mean, they didn't have a lot of our modern amenities, so I mean, I don't know what season it was, but if it was summer and I didn't have air conditioning, I'm ready for it to end.
Sure, fair enough. But this guy, armed with only a heavy duty flashlight, goes ahead and decides to try to get close to the creature.
Mm-hmm.
Again, locking eyes with the creature, and some counts, and actually only one count that I've heard of, but I attached myself to this one the most. The creature growl spoke one word, which apparently is synchronous with a few other sightings of, say, Bigfoot or other cryptids. It's a growl, but with words.
What does it say? What the creature said?
He said one word, which is Gadara. And so you do a little bit of digging, and Gadara is a place near where is now Greece, I believe.
Okay.
Where supposedly Jesus drove demons out of two men into a herd of pigs, who then ran themselves over the edge of a cliff.
Yeah, right into the water below.
That symbolism right there, for some reason, just really stuck with me.
That's quite interesting.
And to me, raises the question as to whether or not the cryptid has some kind of ties to demonology, or if that was just some spice that somebody threw into the story somewhere along the way.
Right.
But I just thought that was neat.
That is neat. So I recently endeavored to actually watch the movie based on this particular cryptid. It's called The Beast of Bray Road, back in 2005.
How was that, Billy?
Look, I'm still picking my IQ points up off the floor, man.
Oof.
It is terrible. Doesn't quite cut it, which is actually kind of disappointing because it was almost good in a couple of places.
Mm.
It's weird. Northern Wisconsin, it's actually southern Wisconsin. Rural southern Wisconsin looks a lot like just rural Arkansas, and so occasionally you hit some stereotypes, some archetypes.
Oh, I know him.
Literally, hey, that guy.
You definitely paused and mentioned multiple times either how ridiculous it was or how it just. I think part of it was just bad movie making.
Yes.
Bad editing, But the story, how was the story part of it?
The story was the worst kind of trash.
Oh no.
If you were involved in this movie and you're listening to this, I'm sorry. I'm being really harsh on your work here.
It's been 17ish years. So
surely they've
had time to reflect.
Yeah. Surely they know it was bad.
Right.
But it featured a cryptozoologist who clearly knew next to nothing about cryptozoology.
Okay.
And would often make he was they portrayed him in a way he was supposed to be very well versed, very intelligent, getting very close to having a PhD. So supposed to know his shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then turns right around and will say one thing and then immediately say the next sentence literally will say another thing that factually cannot be if his previous statement is true. They also they also had a very loose understanding of how firearms worked. On top of the usual horror movie tropes, dumbasses getting out of the car to look at the scary sound.
Mm-hmm.
The movie did portray the creature as being a were creature, specifically a werewolf.
Right.
And most of the sightings are wolf-like in nature. There is a couple of sightings that indicate more bear-like features, at least around the head. But typically wolf-like. And it's sort of interesting in that most of the encounters that are recounted are less encounters and more sightings.
Mm-hmm.
But there have been a a couple of people report that like it chased them to their car and like put claw marks down the side of their vehicle, trying to get at them. And back to the movie. If you watch this movie, it's going to really disillusion you in regards to based on true story movies for the rest of forever, because that's like one of the first things that pops up is text that says based on a true story.
Loosely based.
It didn't even say loosely, but surely it was loosely. I mean, it must have loosely been based on the retelling of the retelling.
Of a kindergartner whose mom told him the story before he went to bed.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah.
So one of the counts that I heard was that this woman was driving down the road late at night, home from work, that kind of thing, and she saw the creature from a distance, thought it was someone, bent over, say sick, or trying to stand up or something like that. Mm-hmm. But it turns out it was eating something, or it seemed to be eating something. And she kind of slowed down to check on what this was. Right. And in doing so, the creature, in not so many words, just kind of freaked out and hucked a boulder at her.
Super fun.
Yeah, around 1,400 pounds.
Oh, good.
She happened to realize that this creature was not of this world slightly before she became cannon fodder, and happened to speed up. But there was a boulder found on that road with no mountain range really near.
Right, just kind of there.
Just there on the side of the road, about 1,400 pounds. It was explained away that it may have fallen off of a stone mover's truck.
Right.
As they do.
Right. I mean, the Flintstones were in town, maybe.
I guess.
I mean,
that's
yes.
an explanation.
Mm-hmm. It's an explanation.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So, fair warning here. I'm the opposite of a skeptic. I have this deep-seated need for all this random crap to be real. Mm-hmm. Just because the world needs to be that much bigger. But I'd like to be able to see like a rock that heavy drop from that distance, like off a truck.
Right.
You would expect it to break, at least in some ways. Hmm. I want to review the crime scene.
Right. Who's got the tape?
Right.
That's always the thing, though, isn't it? Like, if I had been there, I would have looked for these details to like prove whether or not it would have been real or just something that we could have explained a different way.
Right. Yeah.
And that's part of why, sorry to interject, that's part of why the whole cryptozoology thing has been such a, whatever subject for me for so long. But I've apparently, as I've gotten older, really enjoyed getting a little spooked up here and there. So these are easy to find.
Even the ones that aren't super spoopy,
intriguing.
You want someone to prove to you that it's real.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. If you've not watched Josh Gates's various monster hunting series, look them up. It's a rousing good time.
It's one of my favorite shows.
But he has I've not seen an episode of him doing the Beast of Bray Road, but there are some episodes where they've done some of the cryptids I think we intend to cover. But the investigation of it is very fun for me. The Beast of Bray Road, as I've said, is typically canine. And there's a couple of reports that puts it on 2 legs.
See, most of the ones that I got into, we probably should have compared notes before this. Most of the ones that I got into showed that it would walk on 4 legs, but it seemed to be awkward for it. So in the way that me or you would try to like we could if we were pretending we were ponies.
Right.
But on 2 legs could actually run at very high speeds. Right. I want to say I saw 80 miles an hour somewhere.
Good night.
Right.
I mean, that would be quite impressive.
Mm-hmm.
That would be super terrifying.
Also, apparently smells like dead meat rotting meat all the time.
That's curious to me because you hear of so many cryptids that have this distinct smell about them.
Foul odor.
And I've never heard of a proper explanation of why they would smell different than anything else living out in the woods or something. But like if you said earlier with demons and stuff, if it has that connection, that would kind of make sense. Because you would get like sort of a rotting or maybe sulfur smell. You would imagine from a demon, right?
Right.
So that would be like a way to connect those dots.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, sorry, again,
no, go ahead.
I've always heard Bigfoot's pretty rowdy in the BO department as well.
Yeah, I mean, and in the realm of creatures that are scientifically proven, I mean, there's a fistful that have strong odors, like skunks are the first one that popped to mind.
Sure.
Wolverines are another one, though. I have read that. So I mean, wild wolves are typically they're not very picky about what they eat.
Sure.
But once a wolverine has sprayed like a carcass, supposedly even wild wolves will be very hesitant to try to eat that.
I did not know.
So like, there are definitely known creatures out there that produce strong smells, whether it's for defense or to mark their territory.
I mean, take your dog and put him outside for a day, especially if it rains, and he will come back a very stinky creature.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
One funky boy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you may see the tops of our dogs in some of these shots, if this video makes it live. And I promise, they do sometimes smell like a cryptid.
I give them baths.
Look, you can't wash what makes most of the smell out of this dog.
He's a stinky boy.
Spiciest farts.
Oh, hot.
Farts that would make a Taco Bell bathroom jealous.
Oh,
that's all I can say, guys.
Yeah, it's a little rough.
Beastly farts.
Yeah. But yeah, Beast of Bray Road, though, it does feel in some ways like there could be a touch of truth to some of the sightings, just as far as misidentification of other things goes. There are some large dogs or wolves, even though not commonly found in that part of the state, that if you were already freaked out, and especially if you were imaginative, you might mistake a wolf or a large dog for something extra creepy. The state does have a native bear population, but mostly in the northern part of the state. Again, this is South Wisconsin, and it's not like it's just 10 minutes walk from end to end. Sure. So it would be out of the ordinary for a bear to be that far south.
And I mean, lending to the bear theory, again, a lot of the accounts that I read into was that the creature's size spans from anywhere from 400 to 700 pounds.
That is a big creature.
That's a lot. That's a wide gap, though, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, and then also height-wise, on two legs, 7 to 10 feet tall. So again, a very large difference. The only thing that's really throwing me on that is, again, the supposed high speeds at which it can run on two legs.
I mean, that's faster than the fastest land mammal.
Sure.
Known land mammal.
And like we know, like big creatures like rhinoceroses, they can get up to some speed.
Right.
Like they're fast boys, but at the same time, that is a big creature to be moving at that kind of speed. Right.
Yeah. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, there aren't that many bipedal creatures. There's us. There's kangaroos.
Chickens.
Chickens.
Yeah.
Chickens are quick.
Chickens are quick, but none of it is is 80 miles per hour.
No sonic boom danger chickens.
I mean, I feel like that has to be a Sonic the Hedgehog character somewhere.
In an alternate universe, Miles Tails per hour is actually Miles Clucks per hour.
That was
a fucking terrible joke.
So we're not speaking with David now.
No.
Banished. No.
Yeah.
No, we won't banish David.
No, we love David. But yeah. So what? Like what's your sort of feelings though? Like, do you feel like it's largely there's something there that's misidentified? Do you feel like it is something potentially new?
The easiest thing is to just call it, a bear.
Yeah.
Like a black bear or something like that. Well, do black bears get that tall?
Not typically.
Okay, so
black bears are smaller on the bear range.
It's 7 to 10 feet tall on its hind legs. I mean, we're talking like big brown bears or grizzlies.
Sure. Right.
Black bears are much smaller than their counterparts.
I mean, I'd be lying if I said that I knew exactly what the makeup of Wisconsin's bear population was.
Right.
But I mean, it's north. It's up there right next to Canada. So there are large bears, potentially, I would say.
Right. And then I mean, also, in what I've seen, that it is pretty canine in appearance. But again, if you've ever seen a picture of a shaved bear, both terrifying and also pretty canine.
Really sad looking too.
That is
like
true.
Just you're not really sure what you're looking. I guess that's true of any furry creature, and you shave it.
Yeah.
You're not quite sure what you're looking at.
Like it's a Japanese crested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could think if a bear or something got mange or
Right.
some other skin disease that caused it to lose some fur, it would look like maybe a large canine creature.
It could.
True, but on the flip side, I've never once in my whole entire life heard of a bear hucking a 1,400-pound boulder.
Yeah.
That is something that I would be more likely to associate with Bigfoot or a primate.
I've heard of bears like flipping logs over for food, but never, throwing boulders at anyone.
There was one final count that I wanted to bring up. I mean, there's quite a few sightings and so on about the Beast of Bray Road, but another one that really stuck out in my head was that apparently there was a group of people traveling in a car, again, near Bray Road, or maybe even on Bray Road. There's a bridge over a small river or a creek.
Mm-hmm.
Upon coming up to this bridge, they saw this thing, and it locked eyes with the men in the vehicle, but not the woman. There was a woman present.
Mm-hmm.
So the creature never locked eyes with women.
So I'm safe.
Right. But upon seeing the car, rather than, trying to flip the car as it's probably capable of, if it's a real creature, it just hopped over the edge of the bridge about 40 feet down, I believe they said, before it hit water. And by the time they were able to pull over and look down and try to see what the fuck they just saw it swimming on top of the water as if it were an Olympic swimmer.
Huh.
So quick in the aqua too.
Right. Well,
interesting.
I mean that. I don't know of that many terrestrial creatures that have a very high swim speed. In which I may be completely wrong, but I don't know of any land-based creature that has Michael Phelps type speed in the water.
Right.
And you had mentioned earlier about there being several instances where it was kind of like it walked on all fours, but it was awkward.
Right.
And that kind of makes me lean toward was it a dude and was it a Scooby-Doo villain?
Right.
Was it a guy in a mask?
Maybe even on stilts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, not that I'm an expert on werewolf physiology, but you don't get most werewolves are portrayed as either being like legit wolves in beast form, or like the Wolfman bipedal hybrid. You don't
the humanoid kind of.
It would kind of in a way be interesting to see a portrayal of a werewolf that was just really confused, like it still was like person shaped, but it knew it was supposed to be on all fours, and it was trying to figure that out.
That sounds terrifying, actually.
It's just like, how does this work again?
Nothing about this feels right. I haven't been this drunk since prom.
Yeah. that yeah, there's once again we're coming up on the end of this episode. There's going to be more to come. One video every day, guys, until we hit Halloween. Video episode. Sorry. One episode.
Maybe video.
Maybe video.
One until every day until we hit Halloween. So we're I believe we're doing the Wendigo next time. So come back, check that out. There's much more spoopage coming your way, and
Spoops by the pound.
Yes.
Extra spoops.
Spoopage. Until next time, this has been Dietrich. We can't wait to see you back here.
Y'all come on back now, you hear?
Oh dear. Bye guys.
A little bit of yee yee.